Hey, Jacques, do you
Yes.
ever feel like art saved your life?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
End of
Mm-hmm.
episode. Hi, I'm Phoebe,
Hi, I'm Jacques,
and welcome to Do You Ever Feel Like?
where we ask the questions that everyone's thinking and no one's answering.
No one. It's just us. How are you?
Hi. I'm having a day.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm having like a real identity day. It's like,
Mm.
it's a lot.
Like identity, like who are you, or like who am I, or like this is me.
Both.
Ooh. Uh-huh.
I listened to We Can Do Hard Things today
Yeah.
with Glennon and Abby and Sister Amanda, and I was listening to Tig Notaro and Tig's wife, Stephanie.
Obsessed. Already obsessed.
And like, I, it's never the thing, it's never the conversation, it's never the concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's always the time. It's like I had to hear these things at this time,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
at this moment,
Yeah.
in this way, for me to be like, oh, duh, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm having one of those days. And yeah,
Well,
I
and
also
sometimes too, for me, it's like, oh, I have to hear things maybe every day, 40
mhm,
million times before
mm,
I even kind of start to understand them, right?
right,
It's like, yeah,
right,
this time, this day, because only now can I ingest this information.
right. Yeah, like it's no more time. There's no more time to fuck around and be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
these are the time this is the time to be,
Yeah.
yeah.
This makes me think of, like, I think it's like one of the first paragraphs in Viola Davis's book, where, because I'm reading a book and now it's become my entire personality and the only thing I can talk about.
I mean,
Um,
obviously. Like,
I am like this with
does
all media.
does this not happen? Like, yeah, like I'm sorry, what? Like,
But
obviously.
I love this question that she has when she says she's talking to Will Smith, and Will Smith says to her, um, "Who are you?" And
Mhm.
she's like, "Oh, I will always be like the 7-year-old girl running away from the bullies shouting the
Mhm.
N-word at me. Like, I will always
Mhm.
be that little girl." Um,
Mhm.
and then I don't think she also says, like, "And I'll always be like that, like, fighter too."
Mhm.
Um, and that's what that, like these, like, deep dynamics, like this, like, remembering thing, because it's both, like, I find that concept both, like, liberatory, like, yes, that's who I am, and also, is this my fate? Like, is this
Mhm.
dynamic that I am in, like, uh, yeah, like, is it a Greek myth? Can I ever be anything but this? I think we
Yeah.
literally opened the podcast the exact same way last week.
Like,
But I yeah, I don't know,
yeah.
I've just been thinking about that. Like, for me, I will always be the, like, waiting for her parents' 15-year-old girl.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just waiting.
Mhm.
Waiting for somebody to come and, like, get me.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't know if I wanna be that.
Yeah. Mm.
Like, when this
Yeah.
is something I yell at my therapist all the time about, but I'm like, "We've already had this conversation. I already listened to the podcast. I read the book. Like, what do you mean, keep going? Like,
Yeah.
fuck you."
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So Viola's book though, like we have to talk about it. It's so good.
It's so fucking good. It's
It's
so good. I'm listening to it. Her voice is like, I know she's an actress, like, duh, but
so good.
her like, I think it's so different, like, somebody's words coming out of their mouth in that
Mhm.
way
Mhm.
is really quite intense, and I just like, the things that she's writing about, I I so admire people that are able to, like, oh, I don't do I admire yeah, I know I do because it's a skill I don't have. I find it very difficult to write about your trauma and, like, a not just way that you're describing for
Mhm.
somebody, but that you're also able to, like, point to in an intelligent, emotionally intelligent way and be like, "This informed this about me, and this is how I changed it."
Right. I don't know. I think, like, it's really for if you're an artist and you're, like, in this whole thing which this is, like, perfect for today's question. But if you're an artist and you're in this whole thing of, like, do I tell my story? Do I not tell my story?
Yeah.
How honest am I? Which is the hard shit, right? Like,
Mhm.
read this book because, like, I
Oh,
the amount of
100%,
like
100%.
the amount of honesty in it, like the amount of love in it, like, is so good. And it's like, obviously, like, of course, like, you
Mhm.
can't watch Viola Davis in a scene and not be like, oh, this is like an incredibly, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
incredible human
Yeah.
with so much, right? Like,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Yeah, it was transformative for me to read that book in this time in my life and be like, "Oh, right, like, this is the thing,
Yeah.
actually."
Yeah, the way that she talks about her mother, she
Mm,
says she calls her mother the love of her life. I was like, "Oh, wow."
I know.
I cry. I go on my little so my dog doesn't like to walk. We just stand and
Right.
sniff things. And so I look like the most pathetic, like, I think maybe everyone in my neighborhood thinks I'm just, like, perpetually being broken up with or something like that because I just stand there in the heat sweating with my dog who's, like, on, like, a long leash, like, on somebody else's property, like, in their backyard, because that's just, like, what she likes to do. And
Just
I'm
sniffing about.
sobbing. Yeah, she's just sniffing for, like, literally 10 minutes at a time, and I'm standing there sobbing with my sunglasses on,
Yeah. Listening to Viola,
listening
yeah?
to Viola Davis,
Yeah.
wishing I had a pack of cigarettes with me, but that's
Mm.
anyway.
Mm,
But
mhm,
that
mm.
I look insane, but it's so fucking good.
Yeah,
It's
like,
so good.
art changing life, man. Like, I I don't wanna, like, get into the specifics because people really need to read this book.
Yeah.
But, like, I there's a section in it about, like, the amount of honest that she had to be with herself to be an artist and, like, what she was willing to do.
Yeah.
And I just was like, "I can't handle this. I need to, like, get away from this book." Like, Brené Brown has this thing where Brené says, like, if a book is really impacted her, that,
Yeah.
like, that's like, she wants to get away from it, like, she wants to
Yeah.
throw it across the room, that's how she
Mhm.
knows. And during that section, I'm like, no, like, I wanna get away from this book." But it's so good,
It's so
so
good. I
good.
know.
It's so necessary.
It's really intense to just, like, I'm like, addicted to it and scared of it at the same
Mhm.
time kind of thing, and this is why I like audiobooks for that reason too, because you can kind of, like, I don't know, it's like a nice way to get through the hard stuff. Um,
Yes.
Sometimes because I think if I were to read it, I'd just be like,
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's so good. It's so good.
Anyways, read this book. It's so good. And, like, listening to Viola's voice is amazing, and, like, I mean, obviously, like, Viola's background is in theater, right? So I'm, like,
Yeah.
reading this book, I'm listening to her talk, and I'm like, "This is a one-woman show."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
put Like, give Viola Davis a Netflix special. You know what I mean? Like,
Could you
do
imagine?
it. Like,
Mm,
so good.
I can see
So good.
that.
Or an
Give her a
HBO.
stool. Just give her a
Yes.
stool and a
Give
stage.
give her a stool and a stage. Like, what are we doing? So good.
That would be an exorcism.
Actually, don't give Viola anything. Don't give her anything. You know what I mean? Like, let's
Mhm.
not give Viola a stool, right? Like,
Mhm.
like Viola's got it. Viola is gonna get a stage and a stool. Like, you know, like, point is, Viola, we want it. So,
I think it would be so good. Yeah, no, when you
yeah.
had said that the other day, and like I said, listening to it too, it's like her impressions of her mother and her
Yeah.
family are just so good at painting like these like characters. But this is what I was saying too, like characters, but they are real, actual
Mhm.
3D people. And you
Mhm.
know what? I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think that's so brave about this piece of art and all like the art that I really like admire and love,
Mm.
or like Jeanette McCurdy's new book that just came out, I'm glad my mom died, I think that's what it's called. Like
Yeah.
the ability to be able to, because I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't feel like she is the only person to ever have that feeling, right? Like this is what
Oh, no.
art does. And but the bravery to be able to share these things and say these things in a way that um feels safe enough, and or
Mhm.
maybe like layers in a certain amount of mystery, whatever, however like we create a thing, I
Right.
just think is like so inspiring, so inspiring.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking a lot about it as I sift through all of the essays that I thought would stay in my Google Docs forever.
I
And
know, and,
now
like,
I'm out to get you all.
I think if we talk about we didn't I think if we talk about, like, life-changing art, right? Like, I think there's this whole conversation, which we're gonna get into, of, like, people and their opinions and, like, what is good and what is bad and, like, whatever,
Mhm.
right? But, like, I know that something has really impacted me when it pisses me off.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
know that something has, like, really impacted me exactly, like, when I go to the Google Docs,
Mhm.
when I do something,
Yeah.
like, when there is action
Yeah.
afterwards, I'm like, "That thing, it was good for
Yeah.
Jacqueline," like, yeah.
I come from a family of artists,
Yeah.
and which is like both lovely and an insane experience.
I'm sure, I'm sure.
All at once.
Mhm.
And I think people think like I point to it like I have an uncle who is, and like this is all Googleable. I don't know. I think I people like I reveal this about myself and they're like, like, this is why. Like, I don't know, like it's like some sort of like nepotism thing or something like that. But it's like
Mm.
anyway, whatever. But I have an uncle that is a cartoon artist, and I have like I literally everyone in my family is some sort of artist.
Mhm.
But one of my uncles, he's a cartooner. He wrote a comic. He still writes it, called Reed Fleming, World's Toughest Milkman.
Mm.
And in I must have been like in the 70s, he had these stickers, 70s, 80s. He had these stickers that he stuck around his like art college that said not art. Just as like a funny little thing to do.
Wow. Mhm.
And I think that or like he would like put up posters, he would like stick them on like people's cars and stuff like that. Anyway, I saw a gallery named Not Art the other day, and
Mm.
I was like, huh, like, oh, that's funny. And then it spiked this like visceral reaction in
Mm.
me of like, I fucking hate that. And I just think, and like whether or not either of those things is good or bad, like I actually don't give a shit, like
Yeah.
whatever. But I like that's the interesting thing about it, is like the reaction or the like the interest. And I
Mhm.
don't think it's not, I don't say reaction in a way to be like, thought provoking, whatever, or
Mm-mm.
like I'm pissing you off, like that's the point kind of thing. I don't think that's a very intelligent
No. No, no,
design.
no.
But
No. Yeah.
there is this line of like context and interest. And yes, I am saying something that you might not love.
Mhm.
How interesting.
Yes.
How
Yes.
interesting. So, anyway.
Yes. That's interesting. Yeah, because when I say it pisses me off, I mean just like triggers me, right?
Yeah, totally. And
Like
like
in
have
some way.
the the responsibility to like do something about that for
Mhm.
yourself, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Not just like yell. Because people
Right.
love to yell on the internet,
I mean, I
baby.
think oh, well, yeah. Yes. I think, like exactly, the responsibility component is, like, huge. It's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, wow. In whatever way this has really impacted me, and now I'm gonna do something."
Mhm.
Like, that is, like, what the transformation is when we talk about art saving lives, you know?
Yes. Yes.
Anyways, so I feel like I'm in this, like I'm actually living in this way of like right now in this moment of like I listen to something,
Mm.
like with this conversation of artists together, and it has transformed me today. Like I'm in this process.
Which is like, okay, so here's let's just like stop. Let's just stop skirting around the thing.
Yeah.
Like when I say, do you ever feel like art saved your life? I think a lot of the time when I say that, people will think of expression, like the creation of a thing,
Mm,
which is lovely and great. And yeah, yes. But the thing that I find, to me, creating is like, it's like I would almost put it in the same camp as like meditating or like walking.
mm,
Like it's a thing I do to maintain my sanity in some way.
yeah.
But like the shifts, like the biggest emotional shifts I have ever felt in my life have been in a gallery, in a theater, listening to a podcast, ingesting a book, like all of these things. And
Hmm.
like in our darkest moments,
Yeah.
you know, God bless the plumbers and lawyers. We need
Oh,
you.
yes. Yes.
I think plumbers may be a bad example. I think maybe both of those are horrible examples. But like, so many jobs are like how to complete a task, and
Hmm.
artists ask why. And I
Mm,
think like that is the most incredible thing.
yeah.
It's the
Yeah, it
most
is.
incredible thing that you could create. And yeah, like, and then spark just a response
Mhm.
in somebody else. And like when I'm making something, I don't need somebody's response to be good or bad. I
Mm-mm.
don't really think that's any of my business, what their
Mm.
feelings are, but it's like the act of like this. And like that's how I feel as like a receiver, like let this experience wash over me. I don't even know if I could have an opinion on most of the things that I enjoy about it a
Yeah.
lot of the time, because it's just the experience of being alive
Mhm.
that I find
Mhm.
incredible.
Whew.
I just said 40 things.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I recently watched Rothaniel
I have been waiting for you
to talk about
to talk
this.
about this.
I wanna make sure. I think it's Rothaniel, potentially.
I haven't seen it yet. I tried
Sorry,
to.
Gerard Carmichael. Or sorry, Rothaniel. Rothaniel. I think it's Rothaniel. Um, again, pissed off. Pissed
Oh
off.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like mad as can be. And I'm like in bed. This is also what happened when I watched Brené Brown's series on like naming emotions on HBO Max, which I can't remember the Atlas of the Heart.
That's a series?
Um, yes.
What?
Brené made Atlas of the Heart into like a like lecture, like filmed lecture series, speaker series on HBO Max,
Oh.
breaking down all of these emotions, talking to people about like it's it's fascinating. You should
Oh,
watch it.
interesting.
But anyways, like, I'm pissed off because it's so good, and it's like, I don't know, when I watch something and I'm, like, not jealous, that's not the
Yeah.
term,
No,
but,
yeah.
like, because it's like, I can't be jealous of something that's not mine. Like, that's not mine,
No, and
you
I
know?
think and I think even if you were to interrogate, I think when people call certain things jealousy, it's like,
Right.
yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and, like, honestly, like, everyone go watch Brené Brown's Atlas of the Heart because I think one of the sections is like, is it jealousy or is it the other thing that I can't think of the name of? And like we use these words in the wrong way.
Yes, yes.
Yes. I don't know, the potential of what like art can do is just that is all I felt when I watched it. I was just like, this is
Mm.
wild.
Mhm.
Like, not only is there so much healing happening in real time watching
Mm.
this, like,
Mhm.
there is for this individual, but there is healing in the room.
Mm.
There's just like, it's so good. It's so, 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 so good.
Mhm.
Um, and I think like, I mean, artists are so brave.
So brave.
Mhm.
I it makes me think of going to art school, which is like, gosh, golly gosh. There's a reason why people write books and movies and TV
Mhm.
all on this experience.
Mhm.
It's quite interesting. It's whatever. Okay, anyway, it makes me
Yes.
think of like just fucking like critiques. Like I would probably have a critique. There would be weeks in school where I would have, for 2 weeks straight critiques, multiple a day, like 5 to
Yeah.
8 critiques a week.
Yeah.
So forget about all of the like you just make so much in art school.
Oh,
Like you make
yes.
so much. And I remember having that thought going through it as well, being like, I will never create at this scale ever again. Mostly
Mhm.
because it's literally insane. Like it's just
Yes.
I you know,
It's
I think
unhealthy. Like,
uh-huh.
yeah.
I had like a hangover, what I felt like from my thesis year,
Mm.
because I was like, I don't want to make anything. And I don't
Yeah.
think I actually did for like almost a year because I was just like out of brain
Mhm.
space and capacity and stuff. But like the amount of stuff that you make, and then you show up to a critique, which I have experienced. I had a 9-hour critique once. I had a 9-hour critique once. Uh yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. It was horrible, obviously, because no one's in their finest form after, I would say, like, 2 hours. Most of
I'm
them are, like,
sorry,
3.
but
Mhm.
this is a separate podcast episode. Like,
Yeah, 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 let me try to stay on topic here. Yeah, no,
mm-mm.
it was a thing.
Wow.
Anyway, but, like, I just think of my classmates who would show up from, you know, like, with, like, the most, like, glittery canvas
Mm.
full of, like, their deepest, darkest traumas on, like, Tuesday at 8 a.m., and then,
Mm.
like, someone for the same assignment was like, "Painted a horse," and they're like, "Yep, just like them."
Yes.
And, like,
Yes.
both are beautiful and, and, like,
Yes.
both are needed, and
Mhm.
one isn't more valid than the other, but, like, just the bravery to show up with, like, the most horrific thing I've literally ever heard, and,
Mm.
like, a horse, and, like, we're just gonna, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
have a discussion about it, like, and that is, like, the bravery of artists I'm talking about. I'm like, "This is the craziest thing, like, y'all are nuts."
Honestly.
And then I'm gonna talk
Honestly.
about it, and then I'm gonna get graded on it. Ugh. This really is a whole other thing, but I just think
Yeah.
it's like, how gorgeous, and, like, I think of, like, walking into, all of, like the halls being busy in art school and just like everyone's
Mm,
just trying to share a little piece of themselves.
yeah.
I know.
Ah,
I know. I know. Isn't that gorgeous? And that's what I mean when it's like art saved my life. It's like and I think it saves everyone's.
oh,
I mean, I think like the last like early pandemic, like
oh, for
sitting
sure.
inside just
Yes.
munching up things to
Yeah.
entertain me,
Yeah.
to travel to anywhere but where I was, like
Mhm. I went to art school and I went to theater school, which is like, you want to talk about
I know,
like,
abuse.
you want to talk about abuse, but you also want to talk about like trauma
Mhm.
and like, yeah. Um, anyways, separate pod
I guess
about
so.
that
Yeah.
because wow. But yeah, I mean, I come from, I would say, a family of artists
Mhm.
too, in a way. Like,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah, and you know, my sister was a dancer her whole life. My
Mhm.
brother's like a you know dabbled in a lot of different things,
Mhm.
culinary arts, photography, visual arts, blah blah blah. Like
Yeah.
very creative family.
Yeah.
My mom is like this eccentric creative soul. He's like an
Yeah.
interior designer, and like I think I realized that like what that gift was. Like I didn't understand it
Yeah.
until like after all of my schooling, I think. Like I like or all like going to high school, going to
Mhm.
college, like I didn't understand. And I mean, even to this day, I'm confronted with this on a daily basis of like not understanding that the world doesn't work the way that I
Mhm.
like the way like in the way that I work or the
Yeah.
ways of the things I've been exposed to. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I, I'm constantly in battle with like what are you talking about? Like
Yeah.
I don't understand what you're saying. Like the world is actually this way. And actually like everyone is big feeling, everyone is wearing their emotions on their sleeves. Everyone's trying to process, everyone's trying to like be creative in some way shape or form. Like
Yeah.
when you come from that, when you surround yourself with that, when you go to school, when you whatever, and then you're literally like put out into this world and I'm like accosted by it literally on the daily of like, what do you like? What? Like, wait, you don't, what do you,
Yeah.
what? Like, I don't
Uh-huh.
understand. Like, I do not, I will, I like don't understand. I don't understand. Hello. Okay. Hi, all. We're going to chat about, what we are changing our mind about or what we have changed our mind about this week.
What have you changed your mind about this week?
I've changed my mind about having kids.
Oh god. I change my mind about that every other minute.
Every other minute. And this week, I'm like, no, never mind.
I
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have an interest. Like when people talk about like I've never wanted kids, don't want them. I'm like, share. Give me
Can I have some of
that
that, please? Yeah. Yeah.
because it looks really hard, and mm-mm. Like as the person who, like as a woman who will like carry a child, and then you have to like look after it. No.
I feel like I personally have like I'm not even in the front row. I'm on the stage of what it would be like because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like I've nannied for
Mhm.
15 years, right?
Yeah.
Like so I have a very clear idea of what
Yeah.
it takes and I've been co-parenting and doing it
Yeah.
with other people, you know?
Yeah.
And I flip-flop all the time.
Mhm.
Um long time it was no. Then for a long time it was yes. And now it's like every other day. I'm
That's how
like,
I feel every other
yes,
day.
no, yes, no.
I mostly feel like an impending, like I'll have to make that decision
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of
That's what I
thing.
think it is for sure.
Ugh, I want to change my mind about that.
But like, I think people do. another
Hmm.
episode for
Hmm.
another time. Like, another time.
I just had a lot of thoughts.
Mhm.
um,
What are you changing your mind about, Phoebe, or what have you changed your mind about?
Changed my mind about traveling.
Mm.
I used to really think it was a thing not for me. And I used to think it was a stupid thing to spend money on. There's this like, I don't really agree with. Okay, this is going to maybe be a bit of a hot topicy thing. I
Mhm.
feel like the way millennials travel and like, younger people as
Mm.
well
Mm.
is like modern day colonialism. And it's like so weird to me, like this like collect like when I hear people say like I want to go to every country, I want to collect, I want to go to every place. I'm like, why?
Mm.
Not that I don't find
Mm.
every place to be interesting or worthy or something like that, but my mind goes to like the environmental impact of those things and like
Mhm.
the sustainable nature of people visiting other places and like do we deserve or
Yes.
get to go to all places? Like I think maybe you
Right.
should butt the fuck out of a lot of places and it's not your
Mhm.
business, you know? So
Yeah.
I have that in me. But I recently took like my kind of first big trip and I was like, "Oh, I really like this and
Mhm.
I can do this." Like I think there's a funny thing in traveling where you're like, "I don't know, I'm in a place and I don't speak this language and I got to figure out how to get from point A to B." I
Mm.
mean, I was listening to my mom talk about her traveling. She was talking about she was traveling in Europe in the 80s, staying in hostels. She was meeting her boyfriend at the time in Berlin, I think. And I was just like, how do you do that? Like, I have a cell
Mm.
phone and it's like,
Oh,
I got to
for
go find
sure.
Wi Fi. And you're like
Yeah.
crossing your fingers that you get to a place at the
Yeah,
right
no.
time.
What? No. No, no, no. No.
But yeah, I think just generally I've changed my mind about like I am capable of this thing
Mm.
and I can enjoy in a way that doesn't
Yeah.
destroy the earth
Yeah.
and yeah, I don't know. I just my mind floods to like missionaries and shit.
Oh,
So
oh, wow. Yeah.
this is
Have
what I
you
this is what I
sorry.
think of. No.
Yes. 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 I have never gone there, but you are so right. And I mean, not right, not right as in correct.
Mhm.
Right as in like that
I
is
think a
something
thing
to
to
think about.
consider.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Um I and that's so funny like wow, I'm really interrogating my own shit right now because I've only ever thought about that when it comes to,
Mhm.
you know, not Europe.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Um Interesting. Have you heard about this whole thing with the national parks in
No.
the US
No.
and how like I was listening to I feel like it's The Skim a couple episodes ago did a uh a story on the flooding really and like literal flooding of like people in national parks in the US
Oh,
and
yeah, 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 yeah,
how
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
it's like making these beautiful places. It's like really
Mhm.
having a huge effect
Yeah.
environmentally, economically, et cetera, on these beautiful places in the US
Mhm.
and how um these people that run these things, I can't even begin to act like I know who runs a national park, right? But
Yeah.
they're saying like stay away
Yeah.
essentially. Like don't come here because
Yeah.
there's been such an influx from the pandemic and now people want to like go outside or they feel like it's one of the only safe things that they can do when they travel is go see the parks,
Mhm.
et cetera, et cetera. And like
Mm.
it's been really bad, like parking with air pollution, with
Mhm.
trash, with like hiking, and there's
Mhm.
like a million people on the trails, et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera. And they're like, no, no, like you don't have to see this right now. Like wait
Mhm.
and plan whatever. Like,
Mhm.
and I don't know. I was that just like sparked into my brain when you were like, do you have a right to see everything right now or
Yeah.
in your lifetime or like whatever? Like, is it, like, is it worth the trees not being able to be the trees if like
Yeah.
because you want to say you like hugged a redwood? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
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 Just yeah.
I just don't think like outside of like North American culture, like, Eurocentric cultures, like people are having the same thoughts.
Mhm. Mm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, so that's what I've changed my
Interesting.
mind about.
Cool.
Small topics. You and I. Casual always. All right. Well,
All right.
see you in a second.
Invitation to change your mind about something. I
No,
don't
I don't understand
understand.
either. And I in the same category of not understanding, I don't understand like
I,
opinions
this
on
is
it.
yes, yes,
Like
yes.
like
Ah! I don't understand. Like, I don't understand not thinking in these ways. Like, that's the first
yeah.
thing. Like, I don't
Yes. Yes.
understand
Yes. Yes. Yes.
like
Yes.
not thinking in these ways. I don't understand like when I meet someone who's like, I'm not creative. I'm literally like,
That makes me want to peel my
what are
skin
you
off.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't, I
Because
literally,
because
I don't
no,
get
I
it.
know. No, and what a horrible I kind of have this joke sometimes when I'm like teaching where I'll be like, raise your hand if a primary school teacher told you were
Right.
making an art assignment wrong, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like there's all these little ways that we love to plant little and giant ways
Mm-hmm.
that we love to plant like art because it's like a spiritual vocation. It's not
Mm.
worthy, right?
Right.
It's like a thing
Yeah.
that happens on the side. So if you choose to be an artist in whatever kind of capacity,
Yeah.
as a career or as a vocation, whatever, um like there's this like assumption, I think maybe it's like, I don't know, it's like not worthy, it's like not good.
Mm.
um but like how many times have we been told, um I like again, I just get all caught up in my feels about it, but like how many times have we been told like, oh, you're doing a creative thing wrong?
Wrong.
Well,
Yeah.
what the fuck is
Like, what does
the
that mean?
assignment then? you
Yeah.
know
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
just it makes
Yeah.
me, or like some people, I mean, again, I had a teacher in art school, somebody who gets paid a lot of money to say to this classroom of people, some people have it and some people don't, and you're born with it. And I was like, well then fuck me, why am I here? Like
Wow.
I got so upset in this class, but
Yeah.
it's just like this belief that you are not a creative person,
Yeah.
I
Or
simply don't understand,
yes,
and I don't
exactly.
believe in.
I don't believe in it either. Or like this idea of like like
I
this
know,
is just
yelling,
where
it's
I
the
am
yelling
today.
portion of
This is where I am. I'm trying so hard not to yell. But I'm like, what do you mean like you're having a big emotion and you're not going to art? Like,
oh
what are you
yeah,
talking about?
yeah,
Like,
you
I don't
don't
know what
like
that
grab a
means. Like,
pen.
exactly. Like, I'm like, you go for a run? What? Like, I'm like, I, I literally, like, I don't, I it just, it seems so obvious to me. And
Yeah.
like, this is my own shit and like my own judgmental stuff and blah, 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 blah. And like, I'm sure
Mhm.
there's like great benefits to running, but I also like, I,
Well,
whatever.
are
But
there?
like, I don't know. But I just can't imagine, like, this is such a tool, and is what I'm saying, and it's a
Yeah.
tool that everyone has access to and everybody can use in a
It's the
like productive way
first
for
tool we've
themselves.
ever had, like,
Exactly.
as human
Mhm.
beings.
Mhm.
Fucking
Mhm.
Lascaux Caves, man. Like, come
Like,
on.
look at us. Yes, exactly. Like, and like, so it's like this idea, like, that is just wild to me when people are like, "Oh, I'm not creative," or like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I can't do that stuff," or "I can't paint because blah blah blah," or like whatever. I'm like, this is not even the way that I grew up, the way that I've been surrounded my whole life. It's like this isn't even an option to not do these things, but
Mhm.
also it's like everybody has access to this stuff.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think of my, it's making me think of my grandparents who were both very, it's so fun because it's again, you like, you only know what you know, especially when you're a little kid, right?
Yeah.
And like they were always just my grandparents, but being a grown adult woman looking back on my childhood, they were so like bohemian, just like hanging out and it didn't feel that way because my grandma had like Pyrex bowls and uh loved to make a nice Christmas ham or whatever.
Mhm.
But my grandpa was a teacher at like the local college, and
Oh, are you
teacher
kidding me?
because he had 7 kids, like he faked his way into his job.
Mhm.
But was they were both artists. Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. He would play the harmonica, my grandma would play the spoons.
Mhm.
Like my grandma took up Chinese brush painting because like a
Wow.
Chinese brush painter moved in down the road when she was
Wow.
it like later in
Yeah.
her life kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I remember telling my grandpa I was like wasn't going to go to I wanted to take a year off between high school and university, and he said, I don't care what you do, but go get an education. It's like the most important thing because it's like, he was a teacher. It was like really important to
Mhm.
him.
Right.
And right before he died, I had finished my thesis, and I was like, he was in his hospital. He was like in his deathbed. And
Mm.
I showed him, I was like, look, grandpa, like I installed my thesis today. Like, oh, I'm gonna cry. But I was like showing him pictures on my phone, and he looked up at me and was like, "Oh, I'm so happy for you! Like, congratulations!" He said, "I told you it'll be the best thing you'll ever do with your life," and like that, like just committing to creativity in that
Mhm.
way is like the biggest gift. And like, he didn't care what I did
Yeah.
with my life as long as it was a something. And like that's what like they gave to me and my whole family. And I feel so
Yeah.
grateful that I
Yeah.
have that. I'm looking at my grandma's drumsticks right now too.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's yeah, yeah. Mhm. Just yes. Just yes. I like my mom was just like you
Yeah.
will be exposed to the arts, you will see like the brilliance of this, like you will go to galleries, you will go to ballets, you will see like you will like it was so important to her
Mhm.
that we see the benefit of these things. And I went to school first for social work because I was
Mhm.
like, right, like you can't be an
Mhm.
artist.
Oh,
Or if
yeah.
you want to be an artist, you can be an artist. That's cute, but you need something
Mhm.
else. So I chose social work.
Famously comfortable.
Famously comfortable lifestyle, right? Like no burnout
Yeah,
there.
it gives you lots
Like
of space and time to be a human being.
it says so much about me and my own shit that I
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to be an artist or I'm going to go take care of people. Like these are my options, you know? Um, anyways, so, and I like I mean, I'm so glad that I got kind of a liberal education before I went to school, like for theater, because I think that was also part of it too, right? Is like, I was like, what am I going to make art about? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
I grew
Yeah.
up very comfortably, like, as like, and this is before when I like, this was like the idea that I already had all my shit figured out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At 18, I'm like, I've
Yeah.
been in therapy. Like, I got it all worked out.
Yeah.
Everything's, blah, 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 blah. I don't need to go make art about that, whatever. Right.
Uh-huh.
So, anyways, like, all of the stuff that I'm now totally unraveling and being like, actually, no, all of these things. Anyways, and I went anyways, so I went to did social work, and it was great in a lot of ways because I learned about the world first. Like I
Mhm.
like I took like, sociology classes, psychology classes, and gender and, you know, film classes, and I learned about the world before I like went and made
Mm.
art about it, which I
Mm.
think is like
Mhm.
a good
Mhm.
thing. Um but I was miserable. I was miserable at the school. I was like, I was like, I can't, I have to like do theater. What am I doing? What am I
Mhm.
doing? Like, I have to do theater. What am I doing? I have to do theater. And
Oh,
like that feeling, right? Of like, yeah, like this, I don't know.
I know, it's
That
like,
moment.
"Stop the presses!" Like, "I
Exactly.
gotta get off!"
I gotta like, yeah, it's like stop the presses. And that feeling I think is like what I've been holding on, like what I will not let go
No.
of for all of the choices of my life,
Yeah.
right? Which is like, and I had a sweet deal in the situation that I was in financially. Like I like with my school, blah, 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 blah. And I left and now I'm in debt to go to art school. And now I'm in like blah, blah, like, and like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And honestly, my like my art school experience wasn't great. And it was really abusive and horrible in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
But that thing, right? Of like, I will choose like, I will choose this thing
Yeah.
because it just
Mhm.
is. Like, there is no other option, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that I think is, like, a compass moment now in my life of, like,
Mm.
are you gonna choose the thing, or are
And
you gonna choose this other thing?
I think everybody, God willing, spirit willing,
Mhm.
goddess willing, allows, um, has that moment in their life.
Yes.
And I wish my, like my, like, wish for the world is that we would never have that conflict in the first place and choose art
Absolutely.
already, but I
Yeah.
really I don't know if we're gonna lay on our deathbeds being like,
Yes.
I'm
This
hopeful, I'm like
Yes.
I don't know, like, I'm happy with the money I made or something like, and, actually, I don't even feel like that's a great example because I dislike that art equals poverty.
Yeah,
Um,
no. No.
whole other thing.
Yeah.
But I do feel for me if again, if I reach the end of my life and I'm 100 and whatever years old and I am
Mhm.
sitting there, um, going like, I think I would kick myself for the art I didn't make. I think I would be
Mm.
really, really
Oof.
upset, or the things the art I didn't experience, like the
Yeah, that I think is huge for me, the
mhm.
art I didn't experience. I'm in my space with the art I didn't make, and I'm not like I'm unwilling to go there right now, but with the art I didn't experience for sure.
But we all have time, right? Like
Oh, yes.
ugh, you pick up the pen
Another
any day.
podcast.
I don't think like I love hearing stories of people
Mm.
that like I don't think Oprah got her first
Yes,
like
that whole
real
thing.
job until
Yes.
she was like 40 something, and like
Mhm.
same thing with, I'm trying
Mhm.
to think, wasn't it Toni Morrison?
Viola. Look at
Yeah.
Viola.
Yes. Oh
Like,
my gosh, yeah.
yes. Yeah.
I think it was Toni Morrison who didn't get her first book deal until she was like in her 40s or 50s or something like
Mhm.
that. And like, yeah, like just
Yeah.
all, yeah, all of the like greatest art I really love. I don't, I think it's like this like weird pressure. And I would say it's mostly because of like TikTok influencers. We feel this way to be like, I'm
Mm.
27 and like now I'm old or something like that. Like.
Yes. 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 Yes.
But
Yeah.
like everyone can make a thing, and we really only have time, and yeah.
Yeah, and I think that this, like, in full circle relates to, like, what you were talking about opinions, right? It's like
Mhm.
this idea of, like, everybody has time, everyone has access to this, everyone is an artist, be honest, tell your story, do the thing, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
And also, like, can we all make room for that?
Yeah.
Which I think is, like, the opinion component, right? It's
Yeah.
like, what does it look like for all of us to agree to make room for everyone to have this thing and have access to this thing? And
Mhm.
like, that does not mean like, I don't know, the Oscars, right?
Yes.
That does not
Yes.
mean like,
Yeah.
and like, I love the Oscars.
Oh, I will be watching
I
all red
I,
carpets. I will be
I
listening
will
to the podcast before and after.
exactly.
Yeah.
I will be seeing every Oscar
My
nominated
mom and
film.
I do send
Right.
each other
And
our predictions. She always
absolutely.
wins.
Absolutely. But also, like, what is all of that contributing to from
Mhm.
that, you know what I mean? Like, in
Yeah.
this way, and, like, I don't know, from the rando that you're like, "Oh my god, shut up," on their Twitter, right? To like, "Oh, this is good movie and this is a bad movie because these like whatever it is, almost 100 something people decided like this is what
Yeah.
it is." Like all of this is yeah,
Which I think it's
contributes.
funny, like, like I said, I
Is
have
that
been
even a word?
in many a critique room and space, and I
Yes.
don't and I love feedback. I think,
Mhm.
I personally love to learn and grow. I don't understand this desire. Well, I get like we talked about in our first episode, like this desire to deem consumption of like something that somebody
Mm.
created as like good or bad. Like I am a good person for enjoying it. You're a bad person for
Mhm.
enjoying something else.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I don't like that. Like, and
No.
to me, when opinions like that come out, like my reaction to that is like, shut the fuck up and make something then.
Yes. Like, it's like
Like, why are you just sitting there with your arms crossed, like telling
yes.
everybody how to think and feel? Go fucking make something and
Yes.
change my mind. Let me be moved by that thing.
Mhm.
It's just like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And like, yeah, I agree.
Like, who are
And
you?
also, I think too, it's like, who the fuck who has time to have opinions about everything? I don't. Like, I do not. I don't have time to have opinions about everything. I also don't have time to care about everything. And we can take this from like the art perspective, right? Of like,
Hmm.
have you seen this movie and what do you think? To like the world like social responsibility place
Yeah.
too, right? Like, oh, well, you don't recycle, or like, oh, well,
Yes.
you don't blah blah blah,
Yes.
or whatever. It's like
Yes.
I cannot care about every dooming thing on the planet, right? Like I cannot do that. So anyways, like highly relate to I highly relate to yes, this idea of like, oh, I studied film and like I know what is being taught or what is being like shown from the male gaze and like I can like
Yeah,
you know
literally same. Yeah.
that whole thing. I went through that phase.
Yeah.
I am sometimes that person, but like I what are we doing? Who cares?
Who
Like
cares? Shut up.
someone liked it. Someone wants to go see Disney on Ice. Great. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
and you know what?
Mm.
That is
Oh,
art. That is
I
art.
stop.
Like
I love.
like
I'd go.
are you
Yeah,
kidding
God bless those performers. Are you
me?
kidding me? Like,
Exactly.
oh my God. It's funny you say I
Exactly.
a really lucrative like gig that the like theater my theater crowd in high school got into
Mhm.
was um
Anything Disney?
birthday party like
Yes.
princesses.
Yes.
I was like Snow White a handful of times and Belle a handful of times, and like like
Uh, like
fun. And I just like I remember, oh my gosh, I remember just anytime for like horrible, like as horrible as these jobs were, anytime I've ever been paid to do something that's like remotely in the category like
yes.
like of the thing that I love, I'm
Mhm.
like, huh, isn't this
Mhm.
cool?
Mhm. Mhm. Yes. Like, yes, I
Like,
think
I
that
remember
whole
the first job I ever got paid to draw for. Like, my
mm,
hand was like a necessary tool, and I was like, "Isn't this interesting?"
mm, mm. Yeah, I remember like I remember that moment and that like of like, okay, are you gonna choose theater? Are you gonna like what are you gonna
Yeah.
do? Like that kind of thing. It's like ultimately I say that that's a guidepost because it's like that question is ultimately like, how do you want to live?
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, do you want to live like judging yourself or beating yourself up or whatever for like putting on a princess
Yeah.
costume and like
Yeah.
going and like making children happy and like living in imaginary playland? Or do you want to like be like, this is a beautiful creative job where I can go and you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think as
Yeah.
artists, we get so stuck in that. And then as also as like viewers or consumers, there's so much judgment around the legitimacy of things.
Mhm.
Like this is real art, this isn't, this is good or bad. That's a legitimate gig for an actor or not,
Yeah.
whatever. Like Viola has this great breakdown in her book too of that idea for
Yeah.
actors and how like this many actors actually get paid $50,000 a year and
Yeah.
this is many have health care and this is blah
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. So like if you are in, a Christmas Carol every year
Yeah.
at like your like corner theater on the block or whatever,
Yeah.
like great because like you're getting paid to act,
Yeah.
like anyways, here
Yeah.
we are. Another rant. I don't know where I was going.
No,
I think I
I
made
think you're
some
totally
connections.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. And like, I guess that's like, I don't know. I was telling, we've already had this conversation. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's happening. I keep getting like trolls, like
Mm,
haters in my like comment section in my inbox.
mhm.
And, I think there's like a couple of things that kind of go through my head when I get those. One, it's like I'm probably doing something right. Um,
Yes.
I'm, I have some sort of reaction. Something in me pisses you off.
Mhm.
Something that you're seeing
This
in
is
me
what I'm
pisses you
saying.
off, and
Nathaniel,
and
Viola.
yeah, totally, and like, which is fine.
I have to
Like,
Google
can we actually
this.
just be okay with being not
Yes.
liking the other person and somebody like not being in control of a whole ass other
Ooh.
human being? And okay, actually, I'm just I,
Wow.
it, it's usually only white people doing these things. Um,
Mhm, mhm,
j- just just saying that. Um, something in me pisses something off in you.
mhm.
Go make something. Go do something about it. Take
Go do
responsibility for that
something
feeling.
about
Why I'm not like just poo poo and shit on it. I don't
Mhm.
understand this the reaction of meanness in consumption of art, media,
Yes.
whatever. Like the idea, and
Mm.
like I mean this from like a TikTok comment to like a theater review. Like mean. The first fucking thing you learn as a child is to be nice and share. And it's like
Mhm.
the thing that we all immediately forget the second we, I don't know, leave the first
Are
grade.
triggered.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And I don't, it's like, and I think it's funny to be having this conversation, in like the time and place that we're living in, where like people do make heinous, horrible shit, and it is bad,
Oh, of
like and like
course.
harmful. And I'm not talking
Yes.
about harmful things.
No.
And and even then, I think we implore more of a dialogue than is like required or necessary. Because when
Uh-huh.
something's heinous, horrible shit, we're like, well, we gotta
Mhm.
appease the freak, or like bad people are anger,
Yep.
hurt, like people that do bad things are bigger and
Mhm.
are seen as like more intelligent, and so, like I'm thinking of serial killers, like I'm like they're somehow
Yes.
like greater than, and so we must like approach slowly or whatever, which like I don't, whatever to that
Mhm.
approach. But like when somebody is trying to share their truth with the world and
Yeah.
somebody goes, you're wrong, I'm like, go fuck yourself.
Mhm.
Like, go
Mhm.
make a thing. Go
Mhm.
make a thing and tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be
Or
wrong, but don't.
or yeah, like who cares? Like what is wrong?
Yeah. Truly, who fucking cares?
Who
Oh my
cares? Like
god.
what is wrong? And this is something that we say, you and I, literally like daily. And nothing matters. Like everything matters and nothing matters, right?
No, no, the
And
world's
I
gonna
was
explode and this problem's not gonna happen any
yeah.
longer.
And this was in the episode I listened to today of We Could Do Hard Things. Tig brings it up, this idea of like like nothing matters. Like
No.
who cares about
So
this
why are you
decision because
yelling at
nothing
somebody?
matters?
Yeah.
Yes. Who cares about the decision because nothing matters? But then yeah. Mhm. Like, it doesn't matter because nothing matters. But then,
Yeah.
like, oh my God, nothing matters. Like, holy crap, we're like, get stuck into this thing, but nothing matters. So, like, go away. Like, mind your own lane.
Go away.
Go away, mind your own lane. And, like, cool. If you like something, great. If you don't, figure out why you don't. Figure out why you don't.
Figure out why you don't like it, and then like, great, you
Do
don't
something
like
about it.
something. Go enjoy the things that you do like.
Yes.
Go watch the things that do bring you joy.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, again, like, with this idea of, like, me being all like, constantly like, "Oh, everybody's not just trying to, like, have fun every day? Everybody's not just trying to, like, do nothing all the time?" Like, I don't like, what? What is this?
I don't think people know, and I think this is like why art is so, it brings up so many emotions for people that feel like they're on the outside of it in some way.
Mm,
Why it's like maybe so triggering. Because art is pleasure and it's like joy, and
mm,
even when it's an expression of pain, it's it's healing. Like art is pleasure, and to create is soothing, and like just one of the very few experiences that we get as a human being that's like nice.
yes.
And like many a thing, many a person,
Mhm.
many a system tells you, do not enjoy,
No, yeah.
do not have pleasure, do not have joy in
Mm-mm.
your life.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mhm. I remember when I told somebody I was an artist and they said, like, I don't live they said they were like, "Oh, it must be so nice because, like, you don't have to live in the real world." Something super fucking condescending like that. I think this was at, like, a party or I was at
Yeah,
a bar. I mean,
yeah,
nothing good
yeah.
happens from being in a bar, like, absolutely nothing, so it's probably
Well,
that.
nothing good happens from the question of what do you do? Like,
Oh, yes. That
kill me.
also, kill me. Kill me. That and or if you are at a bar with a bunch of artists, what are you working on? Fuck you. Like, that's all I wanna say when someone says that. I wanna just be like,
Excuse me, I'm on a glass and a half of wine. I can't
"Yes,
possibly
go
answer the
away.
question.
Go away." Also, like, I who cares when I'm what like, who like, what are we doing? Why are we asking other artists that question?
Yeah.
Ugh. Um, anyways, yeah, said I don't live in the real world or something, or like, "Oh, it must be so nice to, like, not have to live in the real world." And I was like, "No, no, no. You're mistaken, my friend. Like, my world is the real world." Like,
Yeah.
actually, my world is the real world.
Yeah.
Your world is not the real world.
Your world is
And
literally made up. My
I
my
didn't
world's made up. Your world's literally made up.
yes, I was like, first of all, I mean, there's so many things wrong with this comment, right? But I was like, actually, like, artists trying to be artists and survive is, like, the most real it gets in this world, A, and B, like, I live in the world I wanna live in, and there's
Yeah.
grave responsibility with that,
Yeah.
and, like, I was like, "What? What is
Mhm.
this? What is this comment? Like, what?"
That's wild. My favorite is just like, and I think like not like you need to be an artist full time. Like,
Oh, no.
not like that makes you an artist or not. But one of my favorites is just like when I tell people I am an artist for
Mhm.
work, and they're like I get like, oh, it must be so nice to not have a real job. Yeah, it is actually.
And it's like, what makes me so that's hilarious, it is actually. What makes me so sad about this is, like, I just wanna be like, "Friend, that feels like you can't live in the real world, like, or that, like,
Yeah,
wants to live in this world of, like,
yeah.
not having a real job," or,
Punishment?
like yes, like, it's like, you can do this too, right? Like,
It's like
come over
people.
to this side, like, you don't
Yeah,
have to live this way, like, hello, like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Totally. It's like they walk up to the Mad Max trucks and like chain themselves to these vehicles and they're like, "See,
yes!
isn't my life pain?" And it's like, "But you did that to yourself." What are you talking
With
about?
Charlize just
Yeah, like
driving in the front. Yes.
I'm like, "You could what unbuckle, get out of the bus." Like, what are you doing? That's what you
Mm.
were. You were on the you were this is a whack ass metaphor, but you were on the convoy.
Yes.
And like you were like, stop the train, I'm getting off.
I'm getting
And
off.
you like took your like fire thrower electric guitar and you set it down and you said, no more.
No more. No
of this
more
charade.
of the charade. Like, no more of this. I mean, thank you for it. It taught me some stuff. I appreciate it. But also, like,
Sure,
no
sure.
more. Like,
Sure.
I don't know. It's just like, or like this idea that like you, like, I don't know, this idea, Phoebe, that you have some kind of like magical fairy dust in you. That means like people like you can live this way. People like you can make money like this. People
Mhm.
like you can blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. It's
Yeah.
like, no,
Mhm.
what are we doing if we're not striving for everyone to be a part of this pie? Like, I
If
don't
we
understand.
throw out everything,
Mhm.
the only thing left, like everything, I mean everything, universal basic income becomes a thing. We all treat each other with kindness, respect, love, and dignity and
Mhm.
compassion.
Mhm.
I wave a magic wand and like liberation for all. The only thing that will exist is poems and rivers and
Mhm.
theater and 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 fucking Lascaux caves and
Yes.
and
And
and like
yeah.
growing gardens and picking flowers and arranging them in ways that make us allow us to express something like greater than this. I
Yes.
mean, like I was even thinking about this today. I call myself a writer. Words are never enough. And so I just have to keep writing for the rest of my life until I
Yes.
figure it out. And
Yes.
like that is why art saved my life because it's the only thing it's the
Mhm.
only thing that just makes me feel like kind of alive and like
It's
it's
in it.
worth
It's
it.
yes. And it's in us. It's in us. So here's the thing, listener. Art saves lives. So if
Pick
you
up
want to
the
like write
pen.
the book, do the thing, whatever. This is Phoebe and I's like thing, right? Like this this is Phoebe and
My
I's like
whole ass career is built around this
whole
concept.
whole thing. This is our TED Talk. Like,
Yeah.
go do the thing because it's actually in you, just just like anything else human is in you, to feel, to it is
Mhm.
in you, and there's no such thing as good or bad. No.
Well,
Again, another podcast fixing the world. Here we are. We're
if
gonna say that
only
every time.
I know, if only people just listen. If you just tune in and you listen, then you shall know.
And here we are, being the white people trying to manipulate and control everyone.
I know. But aren't we all just mirrors? And can I be responsible to know that about myself?
Absolutely.
I think
Yes.
so. I think I could be
Yes.
evolved enough. Well, bye, Jacques.
Bye, Phoebe. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you in 5 seconds. Thank you for listening to Do You Ever Feel Like?
Follow this chaos wherever you get your podcasts.
Our artwork is by Simon Peng. Do You Ever Feel Like is produced by Jacqueline Wills.
And Phoebe Taylor. You can follow us on Instagram at doyoueverpod.
You can write to us at doyoueverpod@gmail.com. Okay, bye!
Okay, bye!